Everdeen, and today I want to share with you how I crocheted this long sleeve heart top just in time for Valentine's Day. So for this project you're going to need pink and red yarn. I got my light pink yarn from Hobby Lobby and it's from the brand I Love This Yarn, and it is a size 4, 100% acrylic. And I got this red one from Walmart and it's from the brand Mainstays and is also size 4 and 100% acrylic. And I am also using a size 5mm hook. And the first thing I want to teach you today, if you don't already know how to make granny squares, I'm going to teach you how to make a regular plain granny square. So you're going to first grab the pink yarn and you're going to create a slip knot. And after you've created that slip knot, you're going to put your hook inside of it, and then you're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And after you have chained 4, you're going to put your hook into the first stitch that you made, like that. Then you're going to yarn over and create a single crochet. Now, if you're not familiar with any of these stitches or are new to crochet, I highly suggest that you first watch my Crocheting for Beginners video and practice with that. I also have many beginner-friendly projects as well, so you can go ahead and watch those first and then come back to this one if I am going it too fast for you. But also, if I'm going too fast for you, you could always slow down the speed of this video. But anywho, so after you have created your little circle here, then you're going to, again, yarn over and then open the circle so that there is an opening in the center. I usually just poke my thumb through and there's a little opening. So after I have this opening, I'm going to create 3 double crochets. So I'm going to create my first one, and then I'm going to yarn over, go into the same opening that I made, and then create another double crochet, and then go into the same exact opening and create another double crochet. And this is what it looks like so far. Then you're going to chain 2, 1, 2. Then you're going to create 3 more double crochets. Again, going into the same opening in the middle of the circle. And this is going to be the 3rd double crochet going into that middle circle. And then this is what it looks like so far. And after you've created that, you're going to again chain 2. And then you're going to create another cluster of 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to again chain 2, and you're going to create one last cluster of 3 double crochets, all going into that same middle stitch or that same opening. And then you're going to chain 2 and complete this row by slip stitching into the first double crochet that you created. So you're going to go into right here and just slip stitch into there. And that's your very first row of the granny square. And again, it is comprised of 4 clusters of 3 double crochets, and then a chain of 2, and then 3 double crochets, and then a chain of 2, and then 3 double crochets, chain of 2, 3 double crochets, chain of 2, and then slip stitch into the very first double crochet that you created in this row. So after you have made the base of your granny square, it's time to build on top of that. And if you want to see the reference, see, this is how it starts right here in the middle, and then we just continue building more and more off of that. So from here, we are going to chain 1, yarn over, and create a double crochet by kind of going backwards into this opening right here. And whenever we start, we're only going to make 1 double crochet, because as we go around, we're going to get back to it, and then this is going to be the stitch that we slip stitch into. And I know that's kind of confusing, but you'll get it when we get there. So I made 1 double crochet, then I'm going to chain 2, and then reach on over to this next opening over here, and I'm going to create a cluster of 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Then, since I'm going to make this a corner piece, I'm going to chain 1. Then in that same opening, I'm going to create another cluster of 3 double crochets, 2 and 3. And if you don't know what I mean by corner piece, you will after this row. But yeah, so that's what the corner pieces are going to consist of. 3 double crochets, then a chain 1, and then 3 double crochets. And then we're going to move on to the next one. So in between, we're going to make 2 double crochets, reach on over to the next opening, and then we're going to make another corner piece, which is comprised of 3 double crochets, followed by a chain 1 in between, then another 3 double crochets, all within the same opening. And then after we're done with that, we're going to chain 2, reach on over to the next opening, and create another corner piece, which is 3 double crochets, then a chain 1, then 3 double crochets, and then after we are done with our corner piece, we're going to chain 2, reach on over to the last corner piece right here, the last opening of this second row, and we're going to make 3 double crochets, then chain 1, and then make 2 double crochets, because as I said in the beginning of this row, we already crocheted a double crochet for this opening. So this one is going to serve as the 3rd double crochet for this corner piece. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to slip stitch into that double crochet and complete this row. And that's what we're going to do every time we start and end a row. So from here, we're actually going to chain 1 and reach on over to the next opening, and then create 1 cluster of double crochets, which is comprised of 3 double crochets. This is the little cluster right here, just in the regular middle opening. But then we're going to chain 2, and we're going to go into the opening that's within the corner piece that we made in the previous row. And every time you reach one of these corner pieces, you're just going to make another corner piece on top of it. And again, to make a corner piece, you're going to create 3 double crochets, and then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to crochet another 3 double crochets, and then you're done with the corner piece. And then this is what it looks like. So every time you reach one of these corners, that's what you're going to do. And then from here, we're going to chain it 2, go on to the next opening, which is a regular opening. So we're just going to make 1 cluster of double crochets, so 3 double crochets inside of this opening here. And then we're going to chain it 2, reach on over to the next opening, which is a corner piece. So we're going to create 3 double crochets, and then we're going to chain 1, and then create another 3 double crochets within the same opening. And after we're done with that, we're going to chain 2, and then reach on over to the next opening, which is a regular opening. And we're going to create 1 cluster of 3 double crochets. And then from here, we're going to reach or chain 2 and then reach on over to the next opening, which is a corner piece. So we're going to crochet a corner piece comprised of 3 double crochets, and then a chain 1 in between, and then another 3 double crochets, 2 and 3. Then from here, we're going to chain 2, reach on over to the next opening, which is a regular opening. So we're going to make 1 cluster of double crochets, which is 3 double crochets, Then we're going to chain 2, reach on over to the last corner piece and create one last corner piece on top of the previous row's corner piece so we can complete the new row. And then from here we are going to chain 2 and we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch that we made for this new row to complete the new row. So we're going to go in through here, slip stitch, and now we're done with the new row. And that's pretty much the pattern. So every time you come across an opening that is not a corner piece, then you're just going to fill it with 3 double crochets. And then every time you do come across an opening that is a corner piece, you're just going to create a corner piece on top of it. And then of course in between everything besides the corner piece that has 1 chain in between anything else is 2 chains, and then you're just going to continue building on top of that 2 more times until it is this big. So again, from here I'm just going to make 2 more of them and then I'll be done. And you can skip ahead if you don't need this instruction, but just in case you do, I'm just going to complete a full granny square like the ones that I'm using on camera. That way you can kind of follow along. So I just started the new row here, and now I am approaching a corner piece. So now that I have reached the corner piece, I'm going to create another corner piece on top of it, comprised of 3 double crochets, then a chain in between, then 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, and after I'm done with that, I'm going to chain 2, then reach on over to the next opening, which is a regular opening, so it's just going to be 3 double crochets inside of it, and then I'm going to chain 2, and then reach on over to the next opening, which is another just regular opening. So we're going to make 3 double crochets inside of that opening, and then we're going to chain 2 and reach on over to the next opening, which is a corner piece opening. So we're going to make another corner piece on top of that corner piece, comprised of 3 double crochets, then a chain 1 in between, and another 3 double crochets right after. And then we're going to chain 2, 2, and then we're going to reach over to the next opening, which is a regular opening. So just 3 double crochets inside of that opening, then a chain 2, then reach on over to the next opening, which is another regular opening, so it's just 3 double crochets, then a chain 2, reach on over to the next opening, which is a corner piece, so it's 3 double crochets, followed by a chain 1 in between, then another 3 double crochets. Then after that, we're going to chain 2, reach on over to the next opening, which is a regular opening, so 3 double crochets, followed by 2 chains, then reach on over to the next opening, which then means you need to make 3 double crochets since it's a normal opening. Then reach on over to the next opening, which is a corner piece, and then make 3 double crochets, 1 chain in between, another 3 double crochets to make another corner piece, then chain 2, reach on over to this last opening right here, and only make 2 double crochets because when we first started it, we already made a double crochet in the beginning, so we're just going to slip stitch into that. So it could be the 3rd double crochet, and we've completed the second to last row. So now we're going to complete the last row. So from here, you could either start from here, but I like to slip stitch one more time just so that it's like more above the opening right here instead of reaching over from where it was. So from here we're going to crochet 3 double crochets inside of this regular opening, and then we're going to chain 2, return over to the next opening, which is also a regular opening. So it's going to be filled in with 3 double crochets and then a chain 2. Then the next opening is a corner opening, or a corner stitch. What have I been calling it? I already forgot what I've been calling it. Corner stitch? I don't remember. Sorry. But you know what I mean. So after you've, corner piece, right? That's what I've been calling it. After you made that corner piece, you're going to chain 2, and then you're going to reach over to the next opening, which is a regular opening. So then you're going to fill it with 3 double crochets, chain 2, reach on over to the opening after that, which is another regular opening, then chain 2, reach on over to the next opening, which is a regular opening, and then crochet 3 double crochets, then chain 2, then reach on over to the next opening, which is a corner piece. So you're going to crochet a corner piece on top of that one, 3 double crochets followed by a chain 1 in between, then another 3 double crochets, and then chain 2. Then you're going to reach on over to the next opening, which is a regular opening, and you're going to crochet 3, then chain 2, reach on over to the next opening, and crochet 3, then chain 2, reach on over to the next opening, 3 double crochets, then chain 2, then reach on over to the next opening, and create another corner piece on top of the existing corner piece. And then after you've done that, then you're going to chain 2, and then going over to the next opening, which is a regular opening, and then the next one, which is also a regular opening. Every time you reach a regular opening, you're going to crochet 3 double crochets inside of it, and then chain 2, reach on over to the next opening, another regular opening. So it's another set of 3 double crochets, then reach on over to the next corner piece and crochet another corner piece, then chain 1. After you've created 3 double crochets, and then create another set of 3 double crochets, then chain 2, return over to the next opening, create 3 double crochets, then chain 2, and complete the row by slip stitching into the very first double crochet that you made for that row. And now you are done with your granny square. Yay! I know it's very repetitive and it gets really boring to explain in here, but I hope that you're able to follow along. Again, if not, if it was a little bit too fast for you, I do have a full to slow beginner friendly tutorial on how to crochet granny squares. I'll link in the description box below. I believe it's one of the rare tutorials I actually have a written pattern for too, so go ahead and check that out. And yeah, so after you learn how to make a granny square, then you're going to have to repeat that over and over again, because you actually need 16 of these. Yes, you heard me right, 16 of these at least, if you want to make something my size, because that's how many I used to make my project. So yeah, just repeat that entire process 16 times, make 16 of these beauties, and then get back to me. But in addition to these regular granny squares with the plain pink, you also need to learn how to make heart-shaped granny squares, which is a bit more difficult, but now that you've already learned how to make a regular granny square, then you'll have a better grasp on how to learn how to make a heart granny square. So to make a heart granny square, we're going to start off with red and pretty much do the exact same thing we did for a regular granny square. So we're going to create a slip knot, and then we're going to put our hook through it. Then we're going to chain 4 4. And after we've chained 4, we're going to go back into the very first chain and create a single crochet from it. Then we're going to find the opening, and once we do, we're going to create 3 double crochets, all going into that one opening. And after we've created 3 double crochets, hold on, this is only my second one, and then 3 double crochets, then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, then we're going to create another 3 double crochets, and that was 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 2 again, 1, 2. Then we're going to create another cluster of 3 double crochets, 2 and 3. And then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and create another cluster of 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 2, 2, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first double crochet that we made for this row, and that's going to complete the very first row of the hearts here. So again, like we did for the other granny square, we're going to, from here, we're going to chain 1, then create a double crochet, but go backwards into this opening right here, and then create the double crochet, because this is going to serve as the last double crochet we need in the end of the row. So from here we're going to chain 2, reach on over to the next opening, and this is the row where we're making all the corner pieces, remember? So every time you approach every time you're working on the second row of granny squares, every opening that you go into, they're all going to be corner pieces, so just make a bunch of corner pieces. So right now I'm finishing the second half of my corner piece, and then I'm going to chain 2, reach on over to the next opening, and then create my corner piece, which is comprised of 3 double crochets, then a chain 1 in between, then another 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, then chain 2, reach on over to the next opening, and create another corner piece comprised of 3 double crochets, then chain 1 in between, then 3 double crochets, 2, 3, then chain 2, reach on over to the last opening, create 3 double crochets, 3, and then chain 1 in between, then make 2 double crochets, and 2, and then slip stitch into that very first double crochet that you made in this row to serve as the third double crochet for the last corner piece. So this is what the project looks like so far, just 2 rows of like regular granny square. And now this is where it starts to get interesting, because this is when we need to now add the pink in. So after you've created 2 rows with your red yarn of the granny square pattern, you're going to now incorporate the pink yarn. So from here, again, you could start off from here if you want, but I want to actually get a little bit closer, so I'm going to slip stitch one more time over here, and now add my pink yarn. So you could add your new color any way you want, but this is how I add it. I just add it to the hook and then just chain 1 with it, and then crochet as normal. So from here, the start of the 3rd row, I'm going to go into the first opening and create my 3 double crochets inside of that opening, but with my pink yarn. And after I've created 3 double crochets with my pink yarn, I actually need to switch back to the red. So I'm going to just switch on over to the red again, which I did not detach from the yarn ball, which is perfectly fine. And I'm going to actually first chain 2, then add my red yarn, and reach on over to the next opening, which is a corner piece. And I'm going to create a corner piece with the red yarn as opposed to the pink yarn, because this is going to serve as part of the heart. So I'm going to make 3 double crochets followed by chain 1, then another 3 double crochets, again with the red yarn. And this is what it looks like. Kind of looks funky at first. So that's the beginnings of the heart. And then from here, we're going to chain 2 with the red yarn again. Reach on over to the next opening, which is a regular opening. So we're going to create 3 double crochets inside that opening. But then after that, we're going to switch back to the pink and chain 2 with the pink. And then I'm going to reach on over to the next opening, which is a corner piece. So I'm going to go ahead and crochet a corner piece on top of it with the pink yarn. So 3 double crochets followed by a chain 1, then another 3 double crochets. And this is what the project looks like so far. You can kind of see the heart shape a little bit maybe. But yeah, after you've done that, then you're going to switch again to the red, and then we're going to go into this opening right here. So after you've created that corner piece with the pink, you're going to chain 2 also with the pink, but then you're going to switch on over to the red again, and you're going to go into the next opening, which is a regular opening, and you're going to crochet 3 double crochets within that opening with the red yarn. And then you're going to switch on over to the pink again, and you're going to chain 2 with the pink, reach on over to the next opening, which is another corner opening, and you're going to create another corner piece on top of the previous one. Again, 3 double crochets, a chain 1 in between, and then 3 double crochets. And then from here, you're going to switch back to the red, and you're going to actually first chain 2 with the pink, but then you're going to switch over to the red, and you're going to go into the next opening and create 3 double crochets with the red. And then you're going to chain 2, and then create one last corner piece with the red yarn, and this will finish up the heart. So I'm going to make 3 double crochets followed by a chain 1, then another 3 double crochets and 3, and then we're going to switch back to the pink, and we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch that we made for this row, and that's going to complete this row. And now you could totally see the heart shape, right? Yay! So that's how I make the hearts that's within the granny squares. So now we actually need to make the granny square around it with the pink yarn. And from here on in, again, you're only going to need to use the pink yarn. And it's the same exact steps that you would normally do for a normal granny square. So I feel like I don't really need to tell you because by now it's very repetitive. But yeah, every time you reach over to a normal opening, you're going to create 3 double crochets inside of that opening. And then every time you reach a corner piece like this one, then you're going to create another corner piece comprised of 3 double crochets, and then a chain 1 in between, then another 3 double crochets, and then chain 2 every time you go in between openings. So chain 2, and then this is a regular opening. So then I'm going to fill it with 3 double crochets, then chain 2, and return over to the next opening, fill it with 3 double crochets, then chain 2, and then return over to the next opening, which is a corner opening or corner piece, and then make another corner piece on top of it, comprised of 3 double crochets, a chain 1 in between, and then another 3 double crochets, and then from there you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, return over to the next opening, which is a normal opening, then make 3 double crochets, so on and so forth, until they're the same size as the other granny squares that we made earlier. And yeah, that's how you make heart granny squares. Again, you're just going to continue with the same pattern that I was explaining to you, and also the same exact pattern as the rest of the normal granny squares. So once you know how to make the heart, it's really easy, right? So just follow the same steps. Again, you could totally just rewind and pause and rewind and pause if you couldn't quite catch where exactly you needed to switch the colors to make the heart. But yeah, just repeat that process over and over again. You're going to need 8 of these if you want to make a shirt like mine. But if you want even more hearts, if you want all your granny squares to be hearts, then I guess you're going to have to make, what, like 24 of these? So have fun with that. And I will see you once we're done. Okay, so now that you've crocheted all of your granny squares, all of your heart granny squares, all of your normal granny squares, it's time to put them together. Now, of course, these are going to be making up the sleeves, so how this is going to work, I'm going to start off with a plain granny square, and that's going to be the base of my sleeve, and then I'm going to alternate from plain to heart, and then another plain, and then another heart, and so on and so forth. And we're going to be attaching them both here, so that they're together, but then also to another granny square on the bottom, so it could like complete the sleeve, so it's not just on the top. So essentially it's going to look like this. It's going to be like this, and then right here, and then right here, and then so on and so forth, but it gets cut off on the camera. But then also we're going to be attaching a plain granny square to each of the granny squares as well, and then when you fold them over, it's going to be a full sleeve. Hopefully that makes sense. So essentially we're going to attach it here, and then also here, and then when it goes around in a circle, also here. So it could be attached. Hopefully that made sense. So here, and then also here, and then all along right here, and then this side and this side together. So how are we going to attach them? Well, you're going to figure out which side is the front and which is the back. It's easier to determine the front and the back with the heart granny squares. So obviously this is the front, this is the back. So we're going to make them face the back. For the regular granny squares, it's just preference which side you prefer. I like the side that looks like this as opposed to the side that looks like this. It's a really slight difference, but again, it's your preference. So you're going to put them together, wrong sides facing up, and then you're going to grab your yarn. I'm going to be using the pink yarn because it matches the rest of the pink granny square. And you're just going to attach your yarn to the corner, and I'm just going to attach it like I always attach it. I just put it on the hook and then start crocheting. And I'm sure there's probably like an actual stitch used to attach granny squares, but all I do is just single crochet. I go into the stitch of one granny square, and then I go into the stitch of the other granny square, and then I just either slip stitch or single crochet, depending on which one I remember to do. Like I think that was a slip stitch, and then I remembered, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing single crochet, so then I single crocheted. It doesn't really matter, it's whatever you prefer. And again, the important thing is that you, one, align them together so that they are exactly where you want them to be attached to, and it's even, and also that that the wrong sides are facing you. It may be weird because you're like, I don't want this side to be showing, but you don't want the stitching to be showing either. So what we're going to do after we're done attaching them is that we're going to flip it inside out. So that's why we're going to be working with them inside out essentially right now. And then we're going to flip it inside out, which is actually right side in, and reveal the pretty heart as opposed to the not so pretty heart. So yeah, I'm just going to continue attaching them all along this side right here. And then once I reach the end right here, I'm actually going to have to cut the yarn from the yarn ball because we're not going to be going all around the granny square and attaching it. We're just going to attach it to the end right here, like this. And then we're just going to cut the yarn from the yarn ball. And then seal the last loop, like that. And then we're going to go to the other side and then do the exact same thing. We're going to attach the yarn to the corner of the two granny squares, and then we're just going to continue either slip stitching or single crocheting them together all along both sides of the granny squares, making sure that they are aligned the way you want it to be. And once you have done that, reached all the way to the end, then you're going to detach the yarn from the yarn ball and do it a lot more times because you need to attach a lot of these together. So I'm not sure this is like the best way to do it, the most efficient way to do it, because I'm making everything up as I go along. I've never made a shirt like this before or like worked with granny squares to make sleeves. So sorry if this is counterproductive or not as productive as you may think. If you have any suggestions, you could always leave them in the comments for other crocheters. And, you know, for me as well, because I'm probably going to make similar projects like this in the future. And if you have a suggestion for how to make sleeves out of these granny square pieces that's more efficient, then let me know, and then I'll probably use it for my next project. But yeah, so now that I've reached the end here, I'm going to detach the yarn from the yarn ball, and then I'm going to bring the excess yarn through the last loop, give it a tug, and I'm done. So I'm going to now turn it inside out or right side in, and you can't really see the stitching. It's nice and smooth as opposed to on the inside where it kind of sticks out. And also the heart looks really cute. So that's how you make the sleeves. So you're just going to do that, what, 4 more times, I think? Well, it depends on how long your arms are, because I'm pretty short, so my arms are not that long. So I'm going to be doing this, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4. So 3 more times, 4 times total, where I attach each granny square to a plain granny square. And then I'm going to attach them to each other pretty much the exact same way. So once I have 2 attached to each other, I'm just going to attach them right here on both sides. I'll show you though. I was going to explain it to you, but I'll just show you once I'm done. So let me make a few more of these ones, and then I'll show you how I attach them all together. So I've attached my pieces like I just showed you, and I did it 3 times normally like I just showed you, and then on this last one here, this is going to be the piece that's going to sit on top of my shoulder and like underneath my armpit. So I wanted to show you that for this one, I actually left about like, how many is this, like 1, 2, like 2.5 inches open, just so it could fit nicely like under my armpit and then like kind of wrap around it. And when we make the rest of the top, like the back portion and the front portion of the top, it's going to connect into this part of the sleeve. But if you were to leave this closed and then try to put it on to fit your shoulder like under your armpit and stuff, it'd be very uncomfortable. So I would suggest that you do something like this, where you attach it the way that I showed you how, but instead of going all the way down, you just stop about 2.5 inches away from the edge and leave this little opening here, and I think that it's going to make it better. There is also a possibility that it might not do anything at all, because again, I've never made a top like this before, so I don't know. But I just want to let you know that that's what I did. So from here, I'm going to now attach the other pieces together. Again, everything is still inside out, and then once it's a full sleeve, then we'll just bring it all right side in all at once. So from here, we're going to attach it like this. We're going to make sure that both of the granny squares, or like the pieces, are open so that we don't accidentally attach them shut. So we're going to open them up and then align all the edges together where we would like them to be. And then we're going to attach our yarn like we normally do. So first I'm going to stick my hook through one granny square, or one piece, whatever is considered, and then the other one. And then we're going to attach the yarn. Oop, I went all the way on accident. And then we're going to attach the yarn and either slip stitch or single crochet our way all around like so, making sure that again the project is open and we're not accidentally shutting it or like sealing it shut. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You're just going to single crochet or slip stitch your way all along the project here like this, so that it's attaching just at the top here. So it's just attaching right here, and then you're going to go around in the circle, and then you're going to attach this part to this part, and you're going to do that for this one as well, and then for this one too, making sure that you attach the part of the last one that is not opened to the bottom right here. So the opening should be at the very top of the sleeve. Alright then. Okay, so again, back to attaching the pieces together, making sure that I don't accidentally sew them or crochet them shut. Speaking of sewing, you could also sew these pieces together if you want, if you like sewing, but I like attaching pieces like this for similar projects and stuff with the same yarn that I'm using for the rest of the project. I just think it's more seamless that way, but again, if you prefer sewing things together, then that would totally work too. Now I'm going to detach the yarn from the yarn ball, and then I'm going to seal the project off as I normally would. And now these two are attached. Yay! It looks like an absolute wreck, but once we flip it inside out, again, it looks so much better, so much more cohesive and seamless. So yeah, that's pretty much how you're going to attach the sleeves. So from here, you're going to attach it right here and right here, and then you're going to, you know, do the whole process over again for the other side. So that's when you grab your other granny squares and you do the same thing all over again. And then we could actually start crocheting the base of the top. Okay, so I have officially finished attaching all of the pieces to make the sleeves for both sleeves, and this is what they look like. They look like a bit of a mess here, but now for the satisfying part, we're actually going to flip them inside, right side in. Well, really, I'm just doing this for you guys because in the end I need to actually turn them inside out again when we attach the base of the top to them. But yeah, this is what they look like. Nice and crisp, where you can see the hearts without any flyaway threads, and I think that they look really, really cute. So before we get into how do I make the base of the top, let me figure out what I want to do first, actually. So I have this extra heart granny square left, and I'm thinking that instead of making it just a plain top, I'm actually going to have this heart in the middle and then work around it. And furthering my situation here that I wanted to let you in on, I only have this much yarn left for the pink, and I don't think this is enough for both sides of the top. So I'm going to use the pink for the front side, and then I'm just going to use white for the back. But if you have enough pink yarn, then you can definitely just do a solid pink top, or you know, be cohesive, not like me where I have a pink front and then a white back. But yeah, if you see me switching to white for the back of this top. That's the reason why, it's because I ran out of pink yarn. But okay, so these are the sleeves. You can't even see them. Let me see. These are the sleeves, and then I'm going to want to work around this granny square heart and make the front piece, and then I'm going to make the back piece, and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. I'm also going to show you what exactly I have in mind, like what the shape I'm going to crochet looks like, and hopefully it's a little bit easier for you to understand. The front is definitely going to be a little bit more complicated than the back, because the back is just a solid shape, as opposed to the front where I want to incorporate this granny square heart. However, if you do not want to incorporate a granny square heart, then all you have to do is crochet a shape similar, or actually exactly the shape of the back piece that I'm going to make. So yeah, but okay, back to the front piece. This is what I'm going to do. And again, I'm figuring everything out as I go along, so that's why I don't have like a solid plan here. But yeah, so these are the sleeves. I'm going to put those aside for now. And I'm going to grab my pink yarn again. So my plan is to crochet a chain that's long enough to cover the front part of my torso. I'm just going to put it against my body and figure out how many chains that is, but I'm going to say it's probably going to be like 30 chains. And then I'm going to probably make like 4 rows of double crochet until I reach the granny square, and then once I reach the granny square, I'm going to go back on my row of double crochet, and then once I reach the granny square, I'm going to incorporate the granny square into my row, and then I'm going to go back using double crochet, and then once I reach the granny square again, I'm going to stop right here and attach it, and then go back and forth, go back and forth, go back and forth, making sure I attach the granny square, and then I'm going to stop right here. Then I'm going to detach the yarn from the yarn ball, reattach it to this side with, you know, where I'm making my double crochets, and then I'm going to double crochet over here, and then once I am at my granny square again, I'm just going to stop right here and then go back and forth, go back and forth, go back and forth, go back and forth, go back and forth until I'm up here again, and then I'm just going to continue with the rest of the front part of the top once both sides are filled with double crochet. And I'm sure that's probably confusing for you right now, but as you see me do it, it might make sense. And you could always rewind the video if you think it's easier for you to maybe see what I do first and then come back to my explanation. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing right now. I'm going to be starting off with my chain, and then after I chain, then I'm going to go back on it using a double crochet. But of course you can use whatever stitch that you want. You could even continue making the granny squares, but just on a chain as opposed to in a square. So now that I made my chain, which was actually 50 chains because I do not want this top to be tight, I want it to be loose, I'm going to go back on that chain again with a double crochet. So after I finished chaining 50, actually, not 30, I went back on the chain with a double crochet, and then once I reach the end, I'm going to make sure that I go into the very last stitch of the row, and this is what the project should look like so far. And again, once I'm at the end and I've gone into the last stitch, I'm going to chain 1, flip the project over, and then create another row of double crochet on top of the row of double crochet that I just created. And again, I'm going to probably make about 3 or 4 rows of a double crochet, and then I'm going to start attaching the heart. And this portion that I'm working on right now is going to be the portion of the top that's going to obviously be underneath the heart. So I kind of want to center my crochet granny square heart, and want to make this sweater more of like a kind of a crop top. So I'm only going to make about 4 rows, but if you want this to be a full-length sweater, then you're probably going to want to make more rows than just 4. Just put the crochet granny square heart like on your chest if you also want to center it, and then kind of measure out how many rows you would need in order to kind create a top that has the coverage that you want. So again, just put the granny square heart on your chest or wherever you want to put it for your top, and then put your double crochet project underneath, and then however many you need to make in order for you to be happy with the coverage, then that's how many rows you need to make. If you want it to be a long sweater, then you need to make this many rows. If you want it to be a crop top, then you know, not so many. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on in my mind, and I'll catch up with you guys after I've created as many rows as I need, because now looking at it, I'm not sure if I need to make more than 4. I feel like I need to make more than 4, even just to make a crop top. So we'll see in just a few. So I don't know what I was thinking that I was only going to make 4 rows of double crochet. That would have been way too short. So I actually ended up making 10 rows of double crochet, and that's going to be the part that covers my ribs and above my belly button. And now that I have created 10 rows of double crochet, again, you could totally make this much longer if you want it to be a full sweater. But since mine's going to be a crop top, even if it's a crop top, I still needed to make way more than just 4 rows of double crochet. But anyway, so now that I've completed 10 rows of double crochet, I'm going to crochet my way over to the other side. But as I crochet my way over to the other side, I'm going to be attaching the granny square right here, and then after I attach the granny square to the project, I'm going to from here double crochet my way over to the granny square, and then attach the granny square, and then start my new row of double crochet, and then go back and attach the granny square, and then start my new row of double crochet, and so on and so forth until I reach the top. And once I reach the top, I'm going to detach the yarn from the yarn ball, and then do the same thing just on the other side. And yeah, hopefully now my explanation from earlier makes more sense. But yeah, so I'm just going to create a row of double crochet until I get to the point where I want to attach the granny square. Okay, so I reached the spot right here where I want to start attaching my granny square. So from here, I'm going to put the granny square right next to the project. And now I'm just going to like integrate the granny square into the project using a slip stitch. See how this works out? Yeah. And slip stitch. Okay, now onto the next stitch, and then the next stitch of the granny square, and slip stitch through both of them. And then to the next stitch, and then the next stitch on the granny square, slip stitch through both of them, next stitch on granny square, slip stitch, next stitch through both of them, and then it gets easier once you've attached some of it to the project. And after you have slip stitch all across the granny square, it should be nice and attached like this. Yay! And this is what your project looks like so far. Kind of like a little apron. Cool, so now we know how to make an apron. Ooh, that should be one of my next projects, right? But yeah, now it's nice and attached to the project, and now we just need to continue forward with rows and rows of double crochet. So from here, I'm just going to like chain 1 and then go into the next stitch and create a double crochet. Finish off the row here. Maybe that wasn't the next stitch. This is the next stitch. And then finish off the row here, and after I have completed this row of double crochet, I'm going to head back over towards the granny square and then incorporate the granny square into the new row of double crochet. So I'll show you how I do that once I get there. Okay, so now that I've crocheted my way back to the granny square, this is how I'm going to integrate it into the new row. So I'm going to go into the last stitch before the granny square. Then I'm going to reach on over to the granny square and slip stitch it, actually, to like bring it closer. And then I'm going to once again go onto the granny square and then single crochet on top of it, flip the project over, then continue on with my double crochets. And you're just going to continue doing that every time you reach the granny square, and that's going to attach it to the row, and then you just build on top of it. So there you go, there's my new row of double crochet attached to the granny square. So I'm going to double crochet my way back, and then back this way towards the granny square, and then I'm going to slip stitch the granny square, and then single crochet on top of it. I guess you could also slip stitch. I don't know why I single crochet, there's not really a reason, but yeah, so slip stitch twice if you want, and then go back with your double crochet, and then come back, and then slip stitch twice, and then go back and forth and back and forth, back and forth until you reach the top. So yeah, I will get back to you once I have completed that. So now I have finished all of my rows of double crochet right here on the left side and fully attached the granny square to it. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side, and I've already detached the yarn from the yarn ball, and I'm just going to attach it to this side right here. And again, I'm just going to do the exact same thing over here than what I did on the other side. So every time I reach the granny square, I'm going to attach it with the two slip stitches, or like the slip stitch and the single crochet like I showed you, but I think it's just easier to do 2 slip stitches actually. So yeah, every time I reach the granny square, I'm going to attach it with my 2 slip stitches, and then I'm going to go back on the row with a double crochet, and I will meet you when I get to the top again. Almost there. This is what the progress looks like. So I've made it to the top, and this is what it looks like so far. And now what I'm going to do is double crochet my way back and forth twice, and then I'm going to work on those shoulder pieces, or like the collarbone pieces, I don't know what they're called, but basically those rectangles on each side. And I'm pretty much going to do the same thing where I do one side first and then I do the other side. But yeah, so I'm just going to again double crochet this way and then back, and then I'm going to double crochet only back and forth, back and forth, back and forth right here. And then I'm probably going to single crochet my way down and over to the other side, and then back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with the double crochet until it's kind of like this little H shape. And yeah, that's the plan. So this is what the project looks like with those 2 additional rows of double crochet on top, nice and even now. And now we're going to make again those straps, I guess, that wrap around your collarbone, your traps, your, what is this area called? But anywho, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and make those right now. And again, you just have to measure out where you need them to be. So put this against your body as if you were going to wear it, and then figure out from where to where you need to make those like straps, I guess. And then after you make those straps, you just gotta make the back piece, and then we're going to attach everything together, and it's going to be great. So yeah, I'm just going to double crochet pretty much from here and back, 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 and then attach the yarn to this side and double crochet from here and back, from here and back, from here and back, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Yay, so I just completed crocheting the front portion of the top, and now I'm going to crochet the back, and I'm pretty much going to make the exact same shape, but it's going to be easier because I don't have to incorporate the granny square top. It's just going to be a bunch of double crochets, and then when I get to the top, I'm going to make these little straps by going back and forth just on this little area right here. And yeah, so it's going to be so much easier. Now, the only thing is, like I said earlier in the video, I do not have enough pink yarn to complete the top, so I'm just going to save this for when we add the collar in the end. So it could be a pink collar. But I'm going to be using white yarn, like I said, to make the back portion of the top. And again, I'm just going to be making the exact same shape as this, and just make a bunch of rows of double crochet until I get the exact same size as this, and then once I'm at the exact same size as this, then I'm going to make these little kind of like sleeves or panels, straps, these little like straps with double crochet as well, and I will get back to you. And the yarn that I'm using is just a white yarn, size 4 from Hobby Lobby. Okay, so I have just completed crocheting the back portion of the top, and again I had to use white because I'm running out of pink, and it is almost the exact same steps as how I made the front piece, just minus including the heart-shaped granny square. So I just continued making a bunch of rows of double crochet until I got to this point, and then I went ahead and made the side straps. And now you're actually almost, I was going to say you're actually done crocheting, but we actually still need to do the collar at the end. But for the most part, you're actually finally done crocheting everything. And this project has taken me about 4 days to complete. Obviously not a full 4 days, but like a decent amount of hours per day. And just wanted to let you know that so you could know what to expect if you take on this project. But yeah, here are all of the pieces together, the front piece, the back piece, the sleeves, and now we just have to slip stitch everything together. So when you do, make sure that everything is inside out, just like when we did the sleeves. You're going to want to attach everything inside out. So we're going to be doing this. We're going to flip everything inside out. This doesn't really have a back side or front side, so I'm just going to leave it as is. And we're going to slip stitch right here at the top. And then right here on the sides, we definitely don't want to slip stitch this area together because that's where we're going to put the sleeve, and you need this area to be opened. And this side as well, same thing. And then we're going to attach the sleeves, one on each side. So this side, attach it to the back piece, and then this side, attach it to the front piece. And then flip everything right side in, and you'll have your project. And then I'll teach you, or I'll show you how to add in the collar in the end. But yeah, slip stitching everything together is really simple, but it's annoying. So I'm just gonna get right to it. So I'm just going to, of course, add my yarn starting from here, and I'm going to slip stitch my way up, stop at about right here, and then attach it to this side, stop at about right here, and then I'm going to slip stitch from here to here, from there to there, and then I'm going to attach the sleeves on each side. And then I'll check back in with you once I'm done. Now that I have put everything together so beautifully and nicely, this is what the sweater looks like so far. I know, it's so funny. It looks like absolute madness because this is how it looks like inside out and also on top of my pajamas, but I think once we add the collar, and obviously we flip it inside out, it's going to look so much better. And you know what? The difference between the white and the pink isn't too bad. Plus I have really long hair, so it's going to cover it, so I don't think it'll be too bad. But yeah, so now that I have completed putting together all of the pieces, yeah, it looks like a sweater now. Again, this is what it looks like inside out. A lot of loose thread everywhere, random yarn sticking out and stuff, but ultimately, this is inside out, so it's totally fine, right? So, again, this is what it looks like once it's inside out, and it's okay if it looks pretty crazy, but I went ahead and I slip stitched right here and right here. Then in the opening, I added the 2 sleeves, and now we're gonna see what it looks like once I put it right side in. And after I put it right side in, then we're going to add the collar to close off that big gap around the collar area, around the neck area, and complete the sweater. So again, I had to use white for the back, but you know, it doesn't look that bad. The contrast isn't too big. Look how nice the stitching is when it's right side in as opposed to inside out. But some people really like the inside out stitching look, so if you want to do that for the front. Oh my gosh, it looks so cute! I haven't seen it right side in yet. Oh wow, looks cute. Yeah, the white doesn't look bad at all, so nice. Also, if you're wondering, some people ask me how much yarn I use. For this project, I would have needed 3 of these. So if you want to, you know, not use the white like I had to do in the end, get 3 of these. I needed 3 of these total to make all the granny squares and the front piece, and then this collar, and then if I had 1 more, I would have also been able to make the back piece. But for what I did, I just had 2 of them, so had to work with what I got. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make the collar. Not that you need much instruction, because all I'm going to do is double crochet all around the front and the back and the front and the back and the front and the back and the front and the back until it closes in. And I'm going to make sure that it closes in by skipping a stitch every so often. I'm not really going to be methodical about it. Also, do I want to? Yeah, I do want to do double crochet, because I was thinking about doing a different stitch, but I think I'm just going to stick with double crochet. It's still going to look different because it's going in a different direction than the other stitches are, but I think it'll still look good, and if not, then I'll let you know if I switch stitches. But I'm just going to double crochet all along the top here, right here, all through here, and then the back right here until I get here. And every probably like 7 stitches, I'm just going to skip a stitch, and that way, little by little, this will get smaller and smaller as I continue making more and more rows. So that's how I'm going to make the collar portion of the sweater. Now this is what the final product looks like. So I filled in that big gap with a bit of a collar here, comprised of a few more rows of double crochet, and I went all around until I was happy with the size of the neck portion, and that's it. You're finally done crocheting this sweater that took absolutely forever. Not gonna lie, my hands are like aching because I've been working on this project for days, but I'd say it's worth it. It's adorable and unique. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this tutorial, or this guide filled with ideas on how to make a sweater like this. I know it was a bit of a mess because, again, I was making everything up as I went along, but still, I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, please give it a big thumbs up before you go, and also don't forget to click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye! And have a magical day.